Shifting our focus now to Bihar, where 23 children died after there was poison in a food that was meant to give them succor and solace, the midday meal that became the midday murder. Now, keeping our ear to the ground, Anand Zanani brings you the story of how easily banned pesticides are actually available in the market.
Banned in 46 countries, yet easily available in India, this chemical called monocrotophos is so toxic that just 120 milligrams of it, the weight of 5 grains of rice, can be fatal. But in Maharashtra's cotton belt, monocrotophos is a popular pesticide, and many brands can be easily bought off the shelf.
This is the kind of pesticide that was found to be used in the deadly midday meal in Bihar's Chapra. Although its use in edible crops is banned, in Vidarbha it is easily available and is used in non-edible as well as edible crops. Cotton के अलावा और क्या-क्या की उपयोग?
बाकी वेजिटेबल्स है, चिलीज है और मौसम्बी संतरा इस पे होता है.
In 2009, the United Nations had urged India to consider a ban on monocrotophos, saying that it had serious health consequences for the agrarian society in the country, which was reusing and recycling pesticide containers. Those warnings were just ignored. In the heart of Lucknow, at this pesticide store, we buy a 100 milliliters bottle of the lethal pesticide for just 65 rupees.
नहीं तो ये आसानी से बिकती है, लोग खरीदते हैं इसको.
हाँ, हजारों लीटर के हिसाब से बिकती है. मैंगो सीजन में लीटरों के हिसाब से बिकती है.
मैंगो सीजन में हजारों लीटरों के हिसाब से बिकती है.
On the outskirts in Mohanlalganj, this farmer uses butachlor, a herbicide, on his 4 bighas of farmland. We find some used cans stored in his home. These may not be as lethal as monocrotophos, which kill the children in Bihar, but it still is a dangerous substance to have in the house that has 3 growing children.
घर में छोटे-छोटे बच्चे हैं आपके, तो आप इन बच्चों को इन सब दवाइयों से
बहुत दूर रखते हैं, मतलब जो है इसीलिए वो दवा मतलब अगर लाते हैं तो खेत में वही रखते हैं, घर में नहीं रखते हैं.
लेकिन ये एक दवा थी, आपने ऊपर से भी निकाल के दिखाई, तो इसको यहाँ पे घर में क्यों रखा हुआ है?
हाँ, ये धोखे से मतलब यहाँ रह गया, मतलब जो हमने हमारे न जाने के कारण रह गया.
Experts suggest that perhaps the best way to prevent poisoning is to force companies to take back used containers of these pesticides, which is the norm in most developed countries.
These containers should be taken back by the manufacturers. The responsibility of the manufacturers for taking back containers of pesticides must be fixed, and laws must be made to make manufacturers liable, accountable and responsible for the containers of pesticides.
As long as these pesticides continue to be openly sold and the reuse of their containers remains a common domestic practice, they will always pose a serious threat to rural households. With Sanjay Tiwari in Nagpur and camera person Rajesh Gupta in Lucknow, this is Anand Zanani for NDTV.
Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar is now suggesting that there is a political conspiracy, a meeting of agendas between the BJP in the state and Lalu Prasad Yadav's RJD that points to a larger conspiracy involving the tragic death of 23 children who of course have died from poisoning after a midday meal gone terribly wrong. Is Nitish Kumar escaping the responsibility of his own government, or is he correct in suggesting that low-level politics is being played on the graves of 23 young children? Joining us now on the Political Punch is Rajiv Pratap Rudy, senior leader of the BJP. Also joining us is KC Tyagi, senior leader of the Janata Dal United. And with me in the studio is Shoaib Gupta, well-known commentator and analyst from Bihar. Rajiv Pratap Rudy, let me start with you. As your own party likes to remind Nitish Kumar, not so long ago you were partners, you were comrades. Your leader Sushil Modi was the finance minister of the state. To that extent, is it authentic for you to make an argument that within a few weeks of your departure from the government, suddenly the accountability levels of this government have completely altered? Because if, for example, there is a poor track record on how midday meals have been administered, wouldn't your own party, having been part of that government, become complicit in that irresponsibility as well?
Well, the statement, we have to come back to a statement which was made by Nitish Kumar, and it's nothing to do with what we were doing when we were in government. This is a statement which has come today where he said it's a conspiracy, and he's not attributing it to bad governance. He's not attributing it to as if that he's responsible anyway. And the BJP has not been questioning this. This could be an accident too. And initially, I also said that it could be an accident too. But today, Mr. Nitish Kumar calls it a conspiracy, and it's shamefully is trying to take cover under the theory of conspiracy, which we are saying is wrong.
Yes.
Because 23 children have died. They come from extremely backward class, for which Mr. Nitish Kumar always stomps in Bihar that he's working for the back. And he did not have, we are talking about the compassion of a chief minister who did not find time to visit these people.
Yes.
The anger of the people was so much that they converted the school campus into a graveyard. So the question which arises now is, why is Mr. Nitish Kumar trying to politicize the whole thing and trying to get a cover of conspiracy?
So you're saying, Rudy, you're saying it's not the BJP and the RJD that's politicizing the tragedy. It's Nitish Kumar himself with a statement he's made about a conspiracy. That's what you're saying.
Yes, when he makes a statement of conspiracy, then that is an actual thing. You see, then other aspect, Mr. Nitish Kumar is supposed to be a very wise leader. 2 months ago, in this parliamentary constituency, he was going around asking for votes for his candidate who lost in the by-election. Is it an anger against the constituency or these people against whom his candidate lost? So the question and the act of Mr. Nitish Kumar is a suspect. He is trying to take a cover on the theory of conspiracy. Possibly there is an anger against these poor people, where he did not find it worth even to visit these boys who are still struggling for life.
That's a very serious thing to say, that there's anger against poor people who did not vote for his candidate, and that's why he's reacting like this. I mean, Rudy, is that a responsible statement? Before I take that to KC Tyagi.
I don't expect this kind of an undignified comment from a dignified man like my friend Mr. Rudy.
Yes.
2 घटनाएं पिछले 1.5 महीने में हुई हैं जब से हमारा इनका साथ अलग अलग हुआ है। 5:34 पर बोध गया में बम ब्लास्ट हुआ। 6:30 बजे 1000 आदमी भारतीय जनता पार्टी का झंडा लिए हुए, नीतीश कुमार इस्तीफा दो, नीतीश कुमार इस्तीफा दो, अभी गया बंद कराओ। आरजेडी और बीजेपी एक दूसरे को देखना पसंद नहीं करती है, लेकिन दोनों ने बंद कराया। उसके बाद ये ट्रेजेडी हुई जिसके लिए समूचे देश को दुख है, इर्रेस्पेक्टिव ऑफ पार्टी, कास्ट, क्लास, क्रीड, सेक्स एंड ऑल दैट। बच्चों के मरने के थोड़े देर बाद ही दोनों पार्टियों के नेता जाते हैं, सारण बंद कराते हैं, और जो गवर्नमेंट असिस्टेंस होती है बच्चों को वहां से ले जाने के लिए, उसके सारे रास्ते बंद कर दिए जाते हैं। बच्चों को हॉस्पिटल ले जाने में देर होती है। वहां से जो हमारे मंत्री हैं रातों रात बच्चों को भर्ती कराते हैं। लेकिन ह्यूमन ट्रेजेडी है, डिजास्टर्स है, और हम इसके लिए शर्मिंदा हैं कि हमारी सरकार के रहते ये काम हुआ। लेकिन दोनों पार्टी फिर इकट्ठा हो जाती है।
लेकिन त्यागी साहब,
छत्तीसगढ़ में अब से 2 महीने पहले रमन सिंह जो भारतीय जनता पार्टी के मुख्यमंत्री हैं, उनके रहते हुए टोटल कांग्रेस की जो लीडरशिप है, फर्स्ट रैंक की, सेकंड रैंक की सारी एनिलेट हो जाती है। लेकिन हमने, चूंकि हम मानते हैं कि नक्सलाइट्स का असर है, वहां पर होम मिनिस्ट्री की दर्जन भर वार्निंग है, उसके बाद भी उस इलाके में घटना होती है, लेकिन हमने रमन सिंह का इस्तीफा नहीं मांगा।